Hello, so here is another item which we're going to attempt to repair. This is a Marantz SuperScope CD-330 field recorder. This is the kind of item that a reporter would have used in the 70s to record interviews. So it's quite an old piece of kit. Also quite a collectible piece of kit. These things tend to go for a fair amount of money. However, this one is broken, therefore I didn't pay that much for it. What I'm going to do tonight is quite late, so I'm not actually going to get into redoing the repair per se. We're just going to have a quick look at the condition of the item and try and figure out what's wrong with it roughly. So we'll have a quick look at the outside first, and then I'll open it up. So let's go. Starting with the body of the case first, it's a mostly plastic enclosure. Surprisingly heavy unit. I was very surprised at how heavy this thing is. I guess in the 70s they hadn't really figured out how to miniaturize the components inside, so I'm expecting to open this up and see it jam-packed with all kinds of discrete components. Now, one thing I noticed about this which I really like is that it can either lay down flat as you see it now, or I'm going to do this whilst holding my phone. My apologies for being such a amateur YouTuber. It can also stand up like this on its side, which I think is kind of cool, because, well, you might want to save space and stick it up on its side like this. So yeah, that's neat. So let's have a quick look at all of the controls that we can see here. I'm just going to lay it back down again. Jeez, this thing really is heavy. Alright, so what have we got? Let's start on the left. So first of all, we've got VU meters for left and right channel independently, which is nice. And then we have record level left and right here. You can turn the inner and outer ones separately, therefore changing the left and right record levels independently. I'm not sure why you'd need that, but nevertheless it's there. And then next across we have a battery check button. What this does is it changes the left VU meter to show the battery level if you're powered by battery. Then underneath that we have tone and volume. Okay, we all know what tone and volume is. Then we have several of these switches, and they feel really nice, these switches, by the way. They're so satisfying. Anyway, so we have whether you want to monitor the, I suppose, whether you want to hear the source you're recording directly, or whether you want to hear what the tape head is recording directly. In other words, you can, with these free head systems, you can basically hear back what the tape is recording, and it gives you an idea of how good a quality recording you're making. These next two ones are to do with the type of cassette that you're using. Whether it's this is a bit technical. I'm going to have to look up at this, but you change these depending upon whether you're using a type 1, 2, or 4 tape, or maybe 3. I don't know. And then what do we have here? Dolby noise reduction. This will be Dolby B, I suppose, because it doesn't say which type it is. So that's really cool to have. And in the 70s as well. Cool. Then what do we have here? Not sure what that one does. I'll have to find the manual and figure out what that is. Then we have here microphones, separate left and right channels, which kind of makes sense, I guess, given that it would be aimed at journalists who might have two people that they're interviewing, perhaps. Then we've got here attenuation for the mic, on or off, 20 dBs or 0 dBs, I guess. Well, I don't guess, it says it there. And then headphones, a big old jack. I've got an adapter for that. And then, of course, we have our keyboard keys for actually changing for controlling the tape. Nothing unusual there. And, of course, the old school counter thing there. Speaker on top. Here is the cassette mechanism. Now, okay, so some people say that the quality of the cassette tape depends upon how smoothly the mechanism ejects. So by that standard, this is an awful piece of kit, but we all know that that's bullshit. Side we have two power connectors, one figure of 8 style, I think we call that here, and then a DC jack on the left there. And then there's a switch which is unmarked. I'm going to have to look up in the manual to see what that is. I'm not sure. On the other side, we've got several inputs and outputs. What have we got here? Line in, line out. Okay, that's nice. And then we've got an old school DIN tape connector, presumably to feed the output to an amp. And then what have we got there? Speaker, 8 ohm left and right. So I guess that's another output. And a switch, which I'm not sure what it does. Left and right, perhaps. Not sure. On the back of the unit, nothing much, just the battery compartment. Then on the bottom of the unit, what do we have here? We've got, focus please, there's the model number, etc. And it says here, don't service it. You can't service it, take it to an engineer. Well, I'm not an engineer, so And then before we open it up, just notice that the whole unit has a shoulder strap. So you could lug this around with you while you go and interview various politicians and whatnot. So yeah, I think this would have been quite practical for the purpose it was intended. Now, it isn't in working order. I'll show you why now. So now it's plugged in with a wonky power cable. I'll have to check out the connector when we go in and see why that's wonky. Anyway, it's plugged in. So if I now press play, so we can hear motor noise, which is a good sign. However, the cassette reels here are not turning. I'm not sure if the pinch roller is turning. I can't see inside. I doubt it's going to let me press play with this open. The key doesn't go down, but it makes a noise. And while we're here, lighting's bad. While I'm pressing play, I'm seeing the needles twitch, which is also an excellent sign, because that means that there's a good chance that the VU meters are actually intact and working, so that's good. So I think we've done as much as we can without opening the case. Let's open her up and see what's going on inside. Look how long the screws are on this thing. It's kind of crazy. Well, I'm into the bottom. This isn't very useful. Need to be opening the other side, I suppose. This thing smells really strange, by the way. It smells like musty, I don't know, spider webs. Yum. Okay, here we are inside, finally. It took me a while to figure out how to get in. There's lots of hidden screws. And what can we see? Well, the thing is absolutely jam-packed, as I suspected. I can see at least 2 belts here. Let's see if we can get this in focus. So there's one there, there's another here. These belts feel, well, they're not under much tension, so they've probably perished. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to press play with the lid off and see what we can see. Maybe this will give us some kind of clue as to what's going on. Check this out. Gotta love that mechanism. Yeah, I love that. Clearly that's awesome. So I think I'm actually going to stop for the night now, because it's late. And I think I need to be on the ball as to where things go when I put this back together, because I don't know if you can see this, but there's actually insane complexity in this thing. There are lots of little wires just kind of hanging off of things, and I've got to pay attention as to where all this stuff goes, and I don't think now is the time to do it. I don't know if you can see this. Tiny little wires, not electrical wires, mind you, mechanical wires everywhere. Another one here. C-clips ready to ping off and be lost forever. Everywhere you look, C-clips. And of course, all of these wires. I'm really worried I'm not going to get this back together once I take it apart. So I think I should try this perhaps at the weekend when I've had some sleep. Okay, well, I'll see you next time.